Is this your cup? Is it your cup?
Those are the papers inside.
Can you give me a copy?
I was going to say good morning, but it's midday. So what do you say when it's exactly midday? Do you say good morning or say good afternoon? Teach me. You say hi. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Good day to you all, and welcome to this containing the rugby stakeholders press conference. My name is Gerald Maguranyanga. Some of you may know me. I'm a former Zimbabwean Rugby Union board member, but I remain a rugby citizen. I'm going to introduce guys at the panel here. To the far left is Tenda Karuru, Sebo's player, and then to his right is obviously Dan from Tamangira, the current captain. I'd like to emphasize and reiterate the current captain of the Zimbabwe Sebos. And to his right, to my left, is Honorable Temba Peter Mliswa, who I don't even know what he's doing in politics if you'd ask me, because I always knew him from when I was very young. He was a little bit older than me. I always knew him as a rugby person. But today he wears so many hats. But in my book, he'll always be above everything a rugby man. Then obviously behind Sebo's rugby players, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, starting from the left, my left.
My name is Lenience Tambuela. I'm a current Sebo's rugby player.
Nam Osborne Mohambi. Ian Osemuza.
Once again, I'd like to apologize for the delay in starting, but let's get underway. So we're going to ask the current Sebos captain, Dan from Tamangira, to read his statement, and then after him, I'm going to read a very short, brief, few-minute statement just to support the Sebos captain and also speak about some of the goings on in rugby today. And then obviously, last but not least, it's going to be Honorable Temba Peter Mliswa, Dan from Tamangira.
Good day. Zimbabwe rugby has degenerated to unacceptable levels. In order for us to retrieve a semblance of respect and pride in the sport, urgent intervention is required. The Zimbabwe Rugby Union recently issued a statement pursuant to their board meeting held in Kwekwe on the 16th of June 2019. In this statement, a number of resolutions were subsequently made. First, the board expressed their satisfaction with the report presented by the special committee appointed to look into the matter of the alleged misappropriated funds received from the Reserve Bank meant for players in the Cheetahs campaign. Secondly, the board expressed their contentment with the manner in which Mr. Peter de Villiers' dismissal was handled. Finally, the board recommended that myself and Tatenda Karuru be brought before disciplinary committee for our social media utterances regarding the de Villiers' dismissal in the running of the ZRU board. Let me begin by defending my position as the captain of the Sabres. First and almost, let it categorically be stated that I have not received any correspondence to the effect that I've been suspended or I'm required to appear before any disciplinary committee. I therefore make this statement as a substantive captain of the Sabres, and anything to the contrary is mere hearsay. In being the captain of Sabres, my responsibility, just as the captain in any other form of team, amongst being a leader, making tactical decisions on the field, interacting with the referee and delivering technical messages to the team. An important and strategic facet of my role includes motivating and calming players. In this light, where external forces negatively impact upon my team's morale to the extent that it affects internal performances, I have the singular obligation to speak out on our behalf. Keeping silent is akin to destroying the team. I therefore show no apology for speaking out in a desperate plea for the running of the Zimbabwe Rugby Union Board to be brought to conformity, for psychological motivation to be restored to the team. I have to step up when my team needs me. On the dismissal of Coach de Villiers, apart from the insensitivity surrounding the circumstances of his absence from duty, Secretary cannot appoint a men's national team coach without going through a comprehensive interview process, or more importantly, without advertising the post. It is unheard of and is a corrupt practice. Their press statement clearly states they have appointed Dawson. This appointment is unprocedural. To aid insult to injury, it does not have the level 3 credentials, a basic requirement for consideration for the post. This must be stopped immediately. Regarding the matter of the misappropriated funds allegation, I will not delve into it. Much safe to say that accountability and transparency are imperative, as the matter is proved prejudicial and demotivating to the Sevens players. It must therefore be resolved. Section 820 of the Zimbabwe Rugby Union Constitution provides that the board must have regard to the public interest in its operations. Section 3624 and 5 further provide that the secretary must act in good faith and loyalty to ensure the maintenance and enhancement of rugby, its standards, quality, and reputation for the benefit of members and of rugby, and at all times act in the interests of members in rugby. Sadly, however, our current board is in violation to the extent that the reputation of Zimbabwe has been tarnished and the morale of national players is plunged to an all-time low. We have the capacity to excel, but without the right foundation, we are doomed. As a result of the above, and for the sake of all passionate about rugby in Zimbabwe, I therefore invite the current Zimbabwe Rugby Union Board to step down to pave the way for an interim committee to be set up and the forensic audit instituted immediately. Thank you.
Thanks, Denford. That was the Sebos captain, from Tamangira, reading his speech. I'm just going to ask the players that are flanking, that are behind him, to his left, Mr. Tamangira, to say one or two words each in sure they would like to support their captain. Karulu will start with you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Captain. That was well said. The state of rugby in our country, like I said, is not at a level that it should be. And as I was saying, the state of rugby in our country is actually not where it should be. And that's very disappointing for someone like myself and most of my fellow gentlemen who are standing up here, who have actually served the nation when it comes to rugby. I fully support what Denford is saying, and I was asked in my social media rant, if they call it, if I was going to be afraid if I got victimized by anything, and I clearly stated that I'm not at war with anyone, I'm not afraid of anyone. All I just want to see is another young fellow actually surpass what most of these gentlemen actually did in Zimbabwe. And as far as I'm concerned, that's not going to be the case in 2023 or in the next 10 to 15 years. So it's very disappointing for to have even our domestic rugby league actually not be full functional, and yet we actually have dreams of actually saying want to go to the 2023 World Cup. No team goes to the World Cup without a functioning domestic league. It needs to be put from an amateur stage to a semi-professional stage, and lastly to a professional stage. And obviously with what's happening around, this doesn't look like it's actually going to happen. It's very disappointing for me. I really want to see the sport I love and the country I love succeed greatly. Like I said, I'm not out here to fight with anyone. I just want to see the Zimbabwe rugby emblem fly high once again. But right now, everything that's been put in place is not supportive of that. And that's very disheartening for me. Thank you.
Mr. LT?
Well, I think most of the stuff has been said, but I just want to end on saying I will stand by our captain and the rest of the guys who cannot stand behind us here. We are so passionate about the game, we love our country, and we just wish that things can be sorted so that when we go out there and represent, we represent with no issues and we deliver. We want to be seen in the next World Cup, but it's not going to happen if things are not being done the proper way. Damn.
Yeah, we fully support our captain and we're behind him. And our major concern at this point in time is that they've personalized Zimbabwe rugby. You know, we believe Zimbabwe, the rugby is for everyone, but it has been personalized. You know, not everyone gets an equal chance to represent their country, but we all want to do that. Yeah. So we stand behind him, and we look forward to seeing this process through.
Good day, everyone. Yeah, I'm also fully in support of our captain and the rest of the guys here, and the guys that probably couldn't make it here. But then, I mean, at the end of the day, after all is said and done, what we want to see is our flag go high, and we do the best that we can. I mean, the heart is there. Let's just have the right tools in place so that we can do our job. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to read a very brief, or it's supposed to be a brief statement. I'll try and keep it, I know, bearing in mind that we delayed you. I'm going to try and skip one or two of the items that are listed. I'll read very fast. I hope you catch it. If you don't catch it, I can send you the statement later on if you should be required. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge all you members of the press here present. I have personally built fantastic relations with many media people over nearly 30 years. Thanks to Honorable Mliswa, more than anyone, he mentored me in the art of the sporting and building useful relationships. Sport and the media, seemingly best friends. Each can do without the other. I will never be able to repay you, Honorable Mliswa, for teaching me to build such useful relations with the media. So indeed, thank you so much for coming. Please do enjoy your time with us here. Please allow me to shoot. Mr. Aaron Jenny, I'm also saying I want to shoot Mr. Aaron Jenny. Please allow me to shoot. Mr. Aaron Jenny, the delegate Zimbabwe Rugby Union president, just this morning has set his lawyers on me demanding that I retract any and all statements I have made in the past few days and weeks. Instead of retracting my statements, the evidence I have instead reveals that in his dealings with me, Mr. Aaron Jenny, the president of the Zimbabwe Rugby Union, went rogue and personally crooked me of $2,500. I am totally and completely clear on that. The $2,500, which was money he was supposed to pay me as per agreement, which agreement is clearly proven in unambiguous communications between us. I am sorry, Mr. Aaron Jenny. The loss I suffered proves beyond reasonable doubt that you are banned and you're a wicked crook. I'm sorry to say that. What's worse, the $25,000 is even pure revelation in the past few days, which doesn't make it any better. When we thought it was just $20,000, it turns out it was even more. That money never got to the players, the sevens players. The 12 sevens players that were in Dubai on that trip in December 2018 would have made a good, tidy $2,000 each had they shared the money as per our initial arrangement when I was helping the Zimbabwe Rugby Union secure that money. I have personally, I'd like to pay tribute at this point to Def from Tamangira. I'm just going to say this. I have personally known many Zimbabwe rugby captains from the days of Def Cakeman, from Victor Olonga, Kenneth Simba, and now Mr. Tamangira. Tamangira, I'll say to you, you're an absolutely fantastic chap. And you're truly one of the many fabled captains that Christian kept us fantastic, leading on the pitch, leading off the pitch, leading from the front and from the back. A man that sweetly attacks from the front and from the rear too. We stand with you, Zimbabwe Rugby Union captain. I'd also like to pay tribute to Honorable Temba Mliswa. I've never said this to you, say privately or publicly, like I said earlier on, but it's been a great ride. I'd like to take advantage of this opportunity to say that from knowing you when you were in the same class with my brother James at Lord Marvin in 1987, 1988, I became a level rugby 3 coach thanks to you. I became a rugby coach, trained directly by England Rugby and registered by England Rugby in the early 90s thanks to you. I became a top-notch fitness trainer in Zimbabwe thanks to you. Indeed, I'll retrace your steps, and I became a revered fitness trainer at the Warriors for up to 15 years. I also briefly trained the Zimbabwe rugby squad. I will not forget leading Victor Olonga in exercise drills. Victor Olonga remains one of the fittest, one of the fastest rugby athletes I have ever seen all my life. And I've seen, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of good rugby players. Thank you, Honorable Mliswa, for the influence to fight for a cause. And I do so now, fight for this cause without backing off. I never thought and didn't want us to regroup again in this way, fighting for rugby. But hey, we have helped change the face of rugby from an elitist, white, privileged sport to everyone's game. You are not a perfect man, none of us ever was, but you're a good man, Honorable Mliswa. Let me stop there, or I may need the whole day to share on the hundreds of lives you have positively changed. And in rugby, that would include Victor Olonga, Kenneth Simba, Tondere Chavanga, amongst many other rugby legends of this country. You certainly changed mine in many ways with your strong influence and love for people and love for Zimbabwe. You're also, again, let me say this, the very fittest man I ever saw, and a damned good boxer. May God keep blessing you. I have many gripes against the current ZIU. This Zimbabwe Rugby Union that uses a once disused storeroom at Prince Edward School for its corporate offices. A whole rugby union that professes professionalism but works from a storeroom is an unfunny job. This whole rugby union, which is sung so low, that is current director of rugby, Nsekelo Spanda, poorly, astonishingly extorted $200 off me and was subsequently exposed by solid evidence and fired, but only re-engaged on final appeal. They cannot defend themselves as their poor record on corporate governance and honesty and dishonesty and integrity and lack of integrity speaks for itself. This same pathetic Zimbabwe Rugby Union just last week was asking for $1,600, ladies and gentlemen, from poor kids. They call that a donation. I don't know what that means. It is crazy if you ask me in my book to ask for $1,600 for a kid from Mbari, for a kid from Glenroy to contribute towards their trip on a national assignment. That is more evidence that these guys just don't know what they're doing. Not so long ago, the current vice president of the Zimbabwe Rugby Union, Mr. Loso Mtongiza, had a massive fallout with players of the national squad, and that nasty disturbance prefixed his unceremonious departure from the Zimbabwe Rugby Union. Fast forward to today, the same man is being fingered by a coach of the reputation of Peter de Villiers for meddling in team selection. Come on now, Zimbabwe Rugby Union, we cannot carry on like that. We therefore politely ask that for the sake of the game that he loves, Mr. Mtongizo, a noteworthy rugby man, step down with immediate effect to save the game we know he was in love with. This rugby union that attempts to tarnish the brand name of Peter de Villiers by alleging and propagating childish and stupid remarks that PDV's apartment had locks changed on it by the landlord because young girls were seen going in and going out of his apartment. How long could you go, Mr. Aaron Jani, in the Zimbabwe Rugby Union? What business of yours was it who went into and out of Peter de Villiers' apartment? Your sole business regarding that apartment was just ensuring that rentals were paid, period. Attempting to besmirch Mr. Peter de Villiers by linking him to fabricated shenanigans beneath you. Let's say it was true that Mr. Peter de Villiers was entertaining girls in his apartment. What business was that of yours? Who did you want him to entertain? Did you want him to entertain boys? PDV is a market coach, fantastic for our conduct and networking. He has been treated most unfairly, and those of us that believe in fighting for a just cause have assumed his fight and will rightfully, on the front foot, without retreat, fight in his corner. Our record fighting and winning on the good side is robust and it was very well known. So how can this impasse be resolved fast? Mr. Aaron Jenny and his board must step down to allow an unfettered audit into the disappearance of the $25,000, which figure may even be more. The ZIU board has been captured, as can be seen by their resolutely standing behind Mr. Aaron Jenny, even as the tide gathers against him. I hear, though, that 1 or 2 members of this board would like to jam. Please do so whilst there was still time. Let not history judge you harshly for siding with the oppressor when the oppressor was being challenged. We are glad the wheels of justice are turning. I've personally seen a copy of the letter that the Director General of the SRC wrote responding to the Police Anti-Corruption Unit as instructed by the head of the Special Anti-Corruption Unit in the President's office. The wheels of justice, ladies and gentlemen, turn slowly, but they are turning nevertheless. 2 from my last point, 2 more points. The unending, okay, let me say it here. Let me just jump the next 2 points for the sake of time. I can tell you right now that there's a whole bunch of young Zimbabwean players that are excelling. The background is that the tragedy of all this fighting and the shenanigans that are happening in the poor governance of the Zimbabwe Rugby Union is depriving Zimbabwe of a fine generation of young players that are out there playing rugby in South Africa, playing rugby overseas. And these young people would want to come and play for Zimbabwe, but under these current conditions, they are not interested. So I can tell you right now that there's a whole bunch of young Zimbabwean players excelling in schools and youth rugby, particularly in South Africa and in the UK. Mark my words, amongst the next generation of global rugby superstars will be familiar surnames. I'm going to repeat this, mark my words. Amongst the next generation of global rugby superstars will be familiar surnames, Shona surnames, Isindebele surnames. Only that they will not be wearing the famous hooped shirt of the Sables. Let's put our house in order and not lose such talent. When the Zim squad fails to go play at the World Cup, that failure cruelly denies you Zimbabwean journalists even an opportunity to be part of the glory, the glamour and the wonder of the World Cup. Zimbabwe must qualify for the Rugby World Cup 2023 and subsequent World Cups. This determined, unrelenting cleansing of the Zimbabwe Rugby Union will ensure that. Last point, ladies and gentlemen, we reiterate, we do not hate anyone in the Zimbabwe Rugby Union. Indeed, when this reconfiguring of the Zimbabwe Rugby Union is done, we will all go back to being one big, happy rugby family. In the meantime, the lines have been drawn, the battle has just begun, but it will be swift and decisive. We are good guys, we will take prisoners. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for sharing your valued time with us. God bless you, God bless Zimbabwean Rugby. I will take maybe 2 questions, one from a lady, one from a gentleman. Yes, sir.
Okay, my question is, in all this category, where is Shinimpo for the players?
Okay. First of all, we have yes, is a player rep, and okay. Before I speak about Shingi, actually, we had a meeting with the Secretary President regarding the Peter Divides issue, and he said it was being handled by the lawyers, and they let us know the verdict. And unfortunately, we had to find out through the media that he had been dismissed. And there has been obviously meetings, but we have not received any messages from our player rep from the union. So we are saying, if that's the protocol, why does it have to apply to us only and not to them? If they say that's the communication channel, then it has to be two-way.
Okay, so on your end, have you engaged Shingi?
Yes, we have. We've spoken about it before, and it's only after the press statement had been released that I've been stripped of my captaincy, and now people want to find out what's going on and all that. So it's all politics. If we're going to do things transparent, let's be honest with each other right from the beginning till the end, because nobody's bigger than the game. We all love Zimbabwe, and we're all loyal to our country. So if we're going to do things, let's just be transparent about everything that we do, right from the beginning till the end. I've played with Shingi for almost 8 years, Now this is my 12th year playing for national team. I'm loyal to my country and I've sacrificed. I have actually lost contracts, professional contracts, because I came to play for Zimbabwe. So for people then to want to judge me because I did not speak to the player rep or I did not send a letter or what, for me it's an insult. I've served my country. I've got a lot of guys, former players, who have exited the system. No acknowledgement, no thank you. But they served their country with distinction. They left everything to put on that green and white jersey for Zimbabwe. And there is no thank you or what, and most of them are bitter. So it's not really about Denford Mtamangira being the captain of Sabres. I'm not going to be captain forever, and I don't want to be captain forever. But it's about the system and the future of Zimbabwean rugby. And the player welfare, every Sabres player, I would say 90%, they have had these fights before. And why are we not fixing them? And why do we keep on recycling the same administrators? And there is no progress in the game. And just to comment on an interview that I had from the VP South on the radio, and he was referring to me as this guy, this guy. For me, it's also an insult, because if they really want to dialogue, I think we've had several meetings with the union. I think the boys can testify, and no result. These things did not start today. They started way back. I think even the journalists, they know that there has been issues in Zimbabwe, and I think it's that time we be honest to each other. That's the only way we can move forward. And he said, this guy, we also invited him to come and play, but he couldn't take, time off work. Guys, this was an academy team. Those was appointed as a Zimbabwe Rugby Academy team. I'm a national team player. I'm not an academy player. Why would I go and play for an academy? Are we saying Sabres is now an academy player, an academy team? I don't think so. This is the platform for the youngsters to grow. So let's send the academy players. I'm not an academy player, and I cannot be held accountable for not going to play for academy. If it was national duty, like I always do, I would leave whatever I'm doing to come and play for my country, like I've always done. Yeah.
Mr. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Mugorana. Captain, what role did you play in the appointment of Peter de Villiers as head coach?
Nothing.
None at all?
None at all.
Oh, so what was your interest then in getting him, in backing him?
It was in which the manner he was dismissed. They say he was late to work for 5 days when he was taking care of his sick child who had cancer. It's inhuman. I've played rugby outside Zimbabwe. I've played in South Africa. I've played in the UK. Whenever I had issues, they would always try and make me feel at home. They would even give me an advance to make sure that my family is safe home, that I'm comfortable. But the way they have gone about this, I don't think it's inhuman, and it's bad publicity for our country. Coaches do come and go, but let's also be sensitive in the way we do things. Even if they say you will not come back, it's fine. It's fine. Life goes on. The Sabres will remain there. Even in the next 100 years, Sabres will be there. There will be new coaches. They will come and go. So I'm not lobbying for Coach Peter de Villiers to do because I've got personal interest or anything. It is more to do in the manner that he was treated. If we're going to be Zimbabweans, and if we are as national team players and as Sabres, we are ambassadors of Zimbabwe. The way we want to be treated outside is the way we want to see foreigners being treated the same in our own country.
Thank you very much.
I think Mohammed wanted to add onto that. I can see what's
on that P. de Villiers issue, I think the way he had gone about things reflected, it had changed. He had some sort of system, even in player selection. So he gave everybody a chance. If you weren't there to play or to train, you weren't meant to play. That was basically probably his philosophy or how we saw it. For your information, I didn't play last season due to an knee operation, but we appreciated the way he went about things. Yeah, there was a lot of structure in the system, and a lot of the core players were the local players who were there, who were training all the time. And this is things that we're looking for. It's going to help every other guy who's coming up from disadvantaged homes but have talent to showcase their talent and be able to represent the country. Because as we said, and as we think, and as we know, is rugby's for everybody.
But don't you think it's the responsibility of the Zimbabwe Rugby Union to appoint or disappoint national coaches, or the players' role to turn up for practice and fulfill matches?
Definitely it is. But we also have a right to say how we feel. We are stakeholders, so there's nothing that holds us back from saying how we feel.
Are you guys fearing for your place in the national team? Should TV lose this close?
No, we're not fearing. As I stated I didn't play last season, but I appreciate in the manner that the player selection had been going. Yeah, we look at the academy side. We ask what criteria was used. Nobody knows. No one can answer for that. You see, those are the things we're trying to run away from or ask what is going on. Yes, we heard there was an under-23 side, an academy side in Bulawayo, but we try and search if they were actually in the academy side that went to South Africa recently. We see no names, we see nothing. So we ask what criteria are being used to select these teams.
I think just to come in, I think let's be fair to the lads. You're a seasoned journalist, and I must acknowledge you for the role that you played in making rugby to be what it is. At the time when there was racism and we're fighting racism, we're fighting a system. There's really nothing for these players to really play for rugby. They are not paid. They use their own money. So what remuneration is there at the end of the day, other than them spending their own money and so forth? So I think try and give them credit for representing their country for getting nothing. Why fight for a place for where you don't get anything? You know, it's not like me being a member of parliament enjoying taxpayers' money. They don't. See, we must be able to be seasoned and to appreciate the commitment that these players are putting for national duty at the end of the day. There's nothing to play for at the end of the day because you're not paid. And any money that comes through is siphoned. So let's be very clear. Let me come in and say, my role really is to fight the system. I don't fight individuals. I don't fight any persons at all. I fight the system. I thought Petrus Kausia would be here. I'm glad Good was here from the Sunday Mail at the time. Petrus was with the Herald when we changed the entire system of rugby, which these guys are enjoying today. Let me make it very clear, I have no at all any interest in rugby. I don't know when you last saw me at a rugby match. I played my part in rugby. I wanted the game to be black. It was black. From white minority, the majority then got involved. The administration too. I even turned down the position to be the first black vice president of rugby. And then I actually seconded Brian Kagoro, who was my lawyer at the time, to say, Brian, can you go in and be the vice president? Gerald then was in development and so forth. So there is a background in terms of rugby. And I never thought today I would be sitting with black players, okay, complaining about a system which is black. But it's a system which is black and a system which is corrupt. I am here to ensure that there's accountability and transparency in the way things are done. It is important to understand that sports in general in the country is in a mess. Zifa, the treasurer, still 750,000 steals because he diverted it into his personal account with his brother. No one says anything. The president was very clear in the fundraising dinner of the Warriors, saying that there will be no corruption in sport. That was to fundraise 500,000. Yet somebody with 750 taken for the association, nothing has happened to them. Cricket, how much money has come from the ICC, which has not been accounted for. Rugby, how much money is coming from the International Rugby Board, which has not been accounted for. As a result, when you see the players now revolting or protesting, it's because of the way sport is being administered at the end of the day. It's about sports administration. It's about us not dealing with the fundamentals of why we don't excel in sport, why companies don't put money in sport. It's because no company will sponsor an institution that does not account. Rugby used to be funded by the great conglomerates that you see today because the whites at the time, though some of them racist, put in their own money, they accounted for the money. The blacks come in, they start to steal, which affects the players. The performance of the players is affected because of the welfare of the players not being attended to. So this is where we are right now. Peter de Villiers, whether you like it or not, is human, he's South African, he's a world-class coach, and him coming here, the players are saying it was structured. With Cyprian Mandenge, who's black, who had better results than Brendan Dawson. Okay, he's out, but Brendan Dawson is black. Let me say this. I don't want this to be my show today. I've come to support the players. I've come to support their quest for transparency in the running of sport. Then it will be my war if certain things are not done. Rugby cannot be tribal. Already there's tribal in politics, let alone rugby. Mliswa is Ndebele from Matabeleland, chairman of ASRC, was putting money into rugby as a founder, brings his friend Aaron Jani, went they went to school together, CBC in Blawayo. Brendan Dawson is equally from Blawayo. I am about regional balance. The director Sibanda is from Blawayo again. So I look at that as a legislator, that is this constitutional? No, it's not constitutional. There's got to be equitable distribution of positions, equitable distribution of power, not to now make rugby tribal. There's no place for tribalism in this country. So these are the issues which I'm seeing, which are sticking, which needs to be addressed and so forth. Some of us don't really care who you're related to when you're in a position. I'm sure you know that very well. It is the position that we go for, not who you're related to. It is the performance which is critical. The Zimbabwe sporting structure needs an overhaul change, and I'm hoping that I even spoke to the chairman of the Sports and Recreation Commission, Gerald Mliswa, who is a personal friend of mine, who I know very well, who I had appointed as a chairman of my company, Salt Lakes Holdings. That's how close we know each other. So I say to him, you need to totally, change the way sport is run. You need to suspend all the associations which have not accounted for the money, allow a forensic audit to happen. When they're clean, they'll come back. That's the best practice we must have. We cannot have people fighting to be in position to make money out of that. There's a lot that needs to be done. The players have put before them what they think is important. Okay, let be investigated, let be looked at. We cannot not have rugby. I was saying to Aaron Jani the other day, you suspend players, you're behaving like a political party. The Mugabe time where whoever spoke was expelled from the party. So is rugby now a political party? They have a right. in terms of the constitution to speak out, as long as it is freedom of expression, which does not put them in trouble. So any player, if the national team captain speaks out and you suspend him, who else will speak? So you're now trying to instill fear into the players that you cannot speak. That will not happen under our eye. That must be noted. They are free to speak, they are free to represent their country. As such, let us allow democracy to prevail. Democracy is not only in the political arena. Democracy is all around in the way things are done in the various institutions. So I'm speaking as a legislator to say, let's be accountable, let's be transparent, and the way forward is, you talk about a national dialogue in politics. There must be a national dialogue in sport, GZ.
True.
There must be a national dialogue in rugby. We ask us how we discovered Tongai Chivanga, who will tell you. How we made Kennedy Timber who he is, who will tell you. How Max Madziwa, we have players that we molded. How did we do it yet with no money? Was to get 20 primary schools playing at one center. That's how Tongai Chivanga was discovered. You have rugby, you have racism in schools rugby. Where Churchill and PE excel, they are accused of having overage players. So are there no overage players when it comes to white people? What does the rugby union say about this? I'm here to represent and to defend the great black athletes that are there, that there must not be something put to them which sticks because they excel in greatness. The rugby union saves absolutely nothing. The way forward is simple. We have the resources now, we have the influence. We have 2 rugby unions in this country. If this is not resolved, if it means it's the southern part against the northern part, it will be so. I'm in. I'm not in for a short time. I've been very quiet. People say to me, but Mliswa, why are you not involved in sport? I've said no need to be involved in sport when people are hungry. I'd rather feed people first. It's better playing sport when people have something in their stomachs. The economy today, the national issues for me are more important than sport. So that must be understood. So I think without much ado, it's the players that I support. Let me say something about Denford. It's the first time I'm sitting next to him. And all these players, they're not of my generation, they probably don't know me, and so forth. But he speaks honestly with his heart. That's rugby players, GZ. Rugby players don't lie. It is the toughest sport, but these guys are soft as wool. They are human. It is the only sport that you see people being friends. It's a character building sport. People ask me, but why is Mliswa so vibrant? You must look at my background, my sporting background. It was rugby that made me to be what I am today. And because of that, I want to see the sport growing. He spoke passionately, honestly about what is happening. The responsibilities for the media to report positively about what is going on in the country. We are grateful to social media. If it was print media, it would be misconstrued. But this is being beaten live and people are understanding what is going on. So I will stop there and say, guys, what you're doing is like the men who went to liberate this country in the liberation struggle. Some were sellouts. Okay. Some were for it. Goodwilson will tell an example where Olonga forfeited his national caps to ensure that black players play. When we were meeting at the Mikos Hotel with Aaron Jani, with Bedford Chimbima, and we called the white administrators that there was racism, Aaron Jani went under the bed. Chimbima went under the bed. This is true. Victor was suspended from playing Zimbabwe rugby because he had said, we need more blacks in the team. And I see a repeat of that with black people who finally I call as Uncle Toms. You must understand this. They are blue-eyed boys of the whites, they are not black. And even when we fought rugby, we were different fighting sides and so forth. So I think let us correct things by ensuring that there's a future in rugby. And we shall be advocating for a national dialogue. We shall be advocating for a national dialogue which is provincial, which will come with the roadmap for rugby. It does not need resources, it needs people willing to take the game forward. As a result, Peter de Villiers, we stand by him. We want the right things to happen. The image of the country is important. And in being important, things must be done in a manner which is respectful of others, so that Zimbabwe, who is good friends with South Africa, can enjoy the relationships that they have. Thank you.
I think we'll take a few more questions. So,
I've got two. I'll start with the honorable.
so would you like to identify yourself and your
Ash
organization?
Tikiwa from Star FM. I'll start with the honorable. You just mentioned, I guess it ties in the same question, you just mentioned that unless something is done, you have the influence. Right now you're on the sidelines, I guess, but you will come in if things don't change. And you mentioned there may be a suggestion that maybe 2 rugby unions. Just wanted to find out, is that the ultimatum that you guys have given? And then on the second part, I guess it ties in, the captain and Gerald even said, we recommend that the ZRU board step down. And then you also mentioned something about the Anti-Corruption Commission, the SRC, in your speech. So I want to find out what's the background here and what's the standpoint from you guys with this kind of ultimatum.
Can I answer my portion first? Then Honorable Mliswa will follow after me. The reason money that, like I said in my speech, I'm sorry I read too fast, but I worked with Aaron Jani last year. There was a lot of communication. If there's any journalist, I know some guys have doubted, you guys have all hit up with the story of the missing $25,000. Those of you that would doubt that Aaron and myself were in communication, you are free to access my mobile phone, my presence, because I don't want anybody to delete the critical evidence. There's a lot of communication where we agreed on 2 critical things. That number 1, I was going to help them source funds as a fundraiser. One of the things that I do as a side hustle is I do fundraising. I'm even working now with the Zimbabwe Neighborhood Association. I also work with other entities to fundraise. So we agreed on a percentage. I think on the 29th of September, Aaron Jani actually sent me a message where he said we agree on 25%. And then he spoke to his fellow board members, I think the next day, and he said, can we reduce this to 10%? And then once you succeed on this first venture, then we can go back to 25%. So I kept my word. And then, long story short, in early December, the Zimbabwe Rugby Union gave me a letter that I took to the authorities, to the Zimbabwe to the Reserve Bank, because they had failed to actually access the Reserve Bank. They had written to them, they had no answer. So I did what I did. I'm highly connected and networked, and long story short, in 7 days, they managed to get at the old 1:1 rate, $25,000 US. At the time, I actually thought it was $20,000, but the Zimbabwe Rugby Union since revealed it was actually $25,000. So which means, simple mathematics, my portion was what? $2,500. Yeah. From the day the money came, you see from the conversation, I was shocked. I've known Aaron Jani from when I was, I think, 17, 18. It was like 21, 22, which goes back to, which goes to almost 30 years. He just disappeared. So I'm chasing Aaron now. Aaron, where are you? Oh, I'm in Caribbean. I've gone on holiday with my family. He didn't want to pay me. This was his other side. A lot of guys, some of you guys have communicated with me and said, Gerald, we've always known Aaron Jani. He's a nice guy. But I also always thought that. Until he crooked me. Of my portion, 2,500 US bucks. He disappeared with the money. I got paid eventually via, I'll reveal this now. I got paid in RTGS just to cut my losses via Gilbert Nyamtamba, who then got wind of the story and said, Gerald, you know what? This money was raised specifically for the sevens players. I still want you to help us get more money. I don't want us to lose the relationship. If it means even you and the sevens having our own agreement, let's do that. So Nyamtamba ended up paying me something which was a portion of the $2,500 US, just to maintain the relations. So Aaron Jani, as far as I know, cricket. Then only for me later on to again find out the $25,000 US. Ladies and gentlemen, let's agree, that's a lot of money in Zimbabwe, or even anywhere in the world. 25,000 US bucks. I spoke to Stephen Wunduza, he would have been here, but he's working today. The sevens captain. So I checked with the Wunduza, how much money did you get when you were in Dubai, or after you left Dubai, because I think the week after Dubai, they flew to Cape Town. How much money did you get? We never got any money. No, you're kidding me. Days later, subsequent to that, they then revealed that they got some money, a payment of, I think it was 400 RTGS or 600 RTGS. We did the sums. It works out even at the black market rates to less than $2,000 US. So ladies and gentlemen, the question is, what happened to the money? These guys never got any US dollars. But I managed to help the Zimbabwe rugby union to access $25,000 US. So which is why I'll stand if anytime, anywhere, and declare that Aaron Jani is not fit enough to be the president of Zimbabwe Rugby Union, that Aaron Jani is crooked and is corrupt, and he must step down. So what has happened now is that we have, to answer the second part of the question, we have reported this to I actually went and met Tabani Mpofu, who is the head of the Special Anti-Corruption Unit in the President's office. Ladies and gentlemen, if there was no issue, why would I waste my time doing that? I saw him, I showed him the evidence, he believes that there's a case. And then he referred me to the police anti-corruption unit. So they're actually working together. There's letters going to and fro. Yesterday I was with the police and I saw a letter that the Director General of the Sport and Recreation Commission has actually written to the police. So that they're now in conversation because the police have asked for an audit to be done to prove this. And I've also spoken to the Director of Financial Intelligence at the Reserve Bank. He has said, he's spoken to the police, I think he's written to them, he's prepared to work with the police to get to the bottom of this. But I'll assure you of one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Aaron Jani diverted $25,000 US. The wheels of justice turn slowly, but they are turning. You're going to watch what's going to happen in the next few days.
Well, I think the issue is that money is meant for players' allowance. Let's understand this. The players are abroad. They need foreign currency abroad. They don't get it. When they come back, they get RTGs. So what's the point of an allowance when you're back home in RTGs? Yet it was meant for you to be aware. The other issue that you spoke about is, it's been done before. We had a club called Chimurenga Rugby Club. And the patron was a white judge, the late Justice Robinson, who believed the system had to be fought. It was the best thing. We also had a sevens team called the Black Panthers. Do you remember GZ? Yes. Which was black because we wanted to show the whites that the blacks were superior than the whites in terms of rugby. Kennedy Simba was part of it. All the great Russell, Victor Longa, Russell Karamazondo, they were all part of that. And we did that because ultimately we felt we could do it on our own. There's nothing expensive about rugby, to be honest with you. All you need are balls. Fortunately, we now have resources to be able to even sponsor the national team, let alone the development of rugby in the country. So to me, it's about the development of rugby. I was saying to somebody, if I was in control of sport, I'd probably ban international competition in this country for 5 years and build the power base, a development thing. There is no point, because when these guys go there, they're just whipping boys because, first of all, every reason given for a team not doing well is that we did not prepare well. Yeah. There was no money, there was no food. So to me, every international sport that we take part in, the preparations were not good. We did not get money, there was no food, the camping was poor. So to me, which talks about people not wanting to be part of sport, and the figures have gone down. So you ban international sports for 5 years and you work on the structures and so forth. So that can be done. I think we've been here for a while, ladies and gentlemen. I need to go to Parliament, and they have also business to do and so forth. If you don't mind, Gerald, I think let's bring this to an end so that we also continue, so that they do their part of reporting as well.